Hello Tubesters, it's Gav, back with another video, pop-up one again. I just wanted to show this Perry Miniatures 40mm British 95th rifles from the Napoleonic Wars, specifically the Peninsular War, so that's Spain and Portugal. And it was a really nice figure to paint. As I say, they really know how to pose a figure. I know he's just, you could say, well, he's just shooting Gav. It's a standard pose, but I don't know, everything just flows about the figure. I really enjoy painting it. I've made him fairly dinged up, so you know, there's a lot of wear and tear on everything. There will be some photographs at the end. I did notice when I did my Airfix figure, and I looked back through it the other day, after I'd loaded it of course, the white balance, the light, I don't know, it just, I was telling you, oh, I've done these cross belts in this slightly more yellow colour, and I've done this, and they just were all just bright white, even the photographs. So I apologise. I'm not, I can't really go down into the weeds of photography and videography, or whatever they call the other ographies. It's just not me. I just like to paint figures, make my models, and stick my videos up. I know there seems to be a cry these days, more and more, for, well, say cry, but you see people's comments, you know, with a bit, but from the top class guys in making figures and models, about, you know, brilliantly presented and edited and all the rest of it, and it's just not me, you know. My enjoyment is just sharing my work. It's not really to, or just, it's not just my work, but my enjoyment of the historical, and sometimes, you know, as you know, I do fantasy and sci-fi occasionally, but it's, you know, it's mainly historical, and I just enjoy what I do, and I like interacting with people, and I just I can't go over the top on all the video stuff, and that I just don't have the brain capacity, or obviously I've got a busted head with, you know, I can hardly form words sometimes, so I'm sure as hell not going to be able to make some really Gucci video. So Gucci, old army word meaning good. Right, so anyway, let's get back to this scruffy video. So 95th rifles, I've tried to use different colours on different parts, say the blacks, so you can just see a bluish tinge in there on the leather work. I've done the cartridge box well. I left, there was a couple of pitting marks, I decided to leave them and make something of them, so that the top layer of leather's been, you know, ripped off, or, you know, just removed anyway, and you can see the other leather down below it. You quite often found on these hard edges it would wear away as well. I've done some on the corners of the the flint. Is it the flints in that one? I think it is. We've got our patch down there. You seem to have, you always have to have the obligatory brown Iberian type of material patches that they often would put over things. I've done a very bit of wear on the, I didn't know if it's a bit too much really, but I did a tiny bit of wear on the leather sling. This brass thing here is for the fine powder that goes in the pan, I believe. You can do the bread bags all different colours really, depending on how grimy they got and the material that, you know, they were used to make up. I've done the sword fairly, sword bayonet fairly dingy as well. I did, as I said before, I think I showed quickly before on the other video, the other 40mm figure, I chain drilled and hacked out the back of the sword there. That is all one onto the leg, and it's so thick it looks a bit ridiculous really. So I personally would advise you to make the figure look good to drill that out. If you've got access to a power drill, you know, one of the, like I've got like a Dremel, or, you know, any other type like that, just drill it, chain drill it as they call it, so one hole next to the other. That should be enough to open it up, and then just get your scalpel and files and clean out the rest. It might not be perfect like this one, but I think it does a decent job. I decided to give him the emblem on the back, not particularly great, but he's supposed to say 95th in the hunting horn. Yes, it does look like a croissant. What can you do? The top on there isn't a crown, it's like a loop. It's if I had more space, I couldn't paint it any smaller, but there should be the cords to the hunting horn, and they get looped up there. Given just about see a very faint GR, which government stamp on the, what's it for, King George, Regina, and he's got that in the regulation position. Face came up fairly well. There is some eyes in there somewhere. Again, it's not showing up brilliantly. Maybe the photographs will do it a bit more justice. A fairly hard figure facially to paint, only just because obviously you're going under, the head's bent forward and whatever. Sometimes just put him upside down and you can paint it that way as well. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was this one was a fairly quick figure to do, because obviously he's all in dark green. There's always how far you go with you. As I say, dark green is like dark blue in a way. You don't want to overdo it, but you've got to bring some life to a small figure. So there's sometimes I see him really neon green, which isn't to my taste. And then sometimes if you do them because they would probably more go to dark green, I would have thought, with the sweat and the just general not being washed for months on end, it'd go almost black, I would have thought. But again, it's how you decide to show your figure off. So I apologise for any of the ambient noise outside. It's warm in the UK today. I've got all the windows wide open. Usual cork rocks, as I say. This is it's thin strips of cork that they use for expansion joints on laminate flooring. And I bought a pack years ago when we were doing our own laminate floors, and I'd got a load left over. It should last me for another year or two. And I just cut it up with a scalpel and then rough it up in places. When you break it up, it breaks up quite naturally like that. But there will be, obviously, because it was a square, it's a thin strip. You then just have to maybe just chisel out the sides a bit, like I've done there, just to make it a bit more natural. Tufts I made myself. I want to do them fairly sparse. No flowers on this one. Again, I've got the pack of, I can't remember if they were Jarvis or if they were Knock, but like little leaves. And I just stick them on top of that, like woodland scenics, shrubbery type things. But I think I probably overdid it a bit with the leaves in places, so they're a bit too clumpy. But I had a couple made up, so I used them on the first one and put this one on this one, because I just didn't want. It's not so bad on the War Games figures. Well, these are War Games figures, I know, but on the 28s or below, the tufts are more or less all you need. But I just thought with this guy, I wanted to show some leaves and stuff off rather than just static grass. Again, I put them on the 30mm bases just because I like to tell a bit of a story. On the 40mm, it definitely works, because obviously they can be a bit, I know it's stuck down, but they can be a bit top heavy sometimes. So that'll give you a bit more. If you were skirmish gaming them, they're not going to fall over. Obviously, if they're going to just be a cabinet piece, and it's not going to make too much of a problem. But yeah, very enjoyable. Really, really enjoyed doing that. I want to put as best I could. BO stands for Board of Ordnance, I believe, with the government arrow, which we used right up until probably the 1970s, I think. And then it's supposed, I'm not sure if I put C Company on it. Usually, as my old company used to be C Company, everything gets put as C Company on everything. But I had to be a bit more sparing with that, because obviously just getting it in. But yeah, so that's him. And I'm working on the Swiss Voltigeur. I've decided to make him the second Swiss. I think they're the 2nd Battalion and the 2nd Swiss in Spain. I've gone, rather than, you can't really see it under the lights here, I've gone for more of a non-orangey shade. I can't see why the French reds if they ever had, obviously the Swiss did, if they wouldn't have faded a lot like the British ones, to be honest with you, like that more orangey. But then again, there's always a thing, some say the British ones went to a pinky shade, some said it an orangey shade. I really think it went through all those type of shades. But this guy, I've done more of a slightly colder look, more pinky look. And I'm second will be dark blue, so I'm going to use that imperial blue I used on the Lancer, and do the same on that. So he should come up quite nicely. I've actually got a uniform book. I've got the it's right next to me, the Osprey one, but I've also got another one coming which I'm told is being delivered this afternoon, so I'm just holding off on the collar and cuffs, just because I just wanted to see what they had to say. But it should be white turnbacks with a yellow, with a yellow collar and cuffs. Yeah, I think it's yellow, yellow facing, yellow piping, or is it blue piping? Oh, I can't remember. It's actually probably more likely going to be dark blue, but yeah, piping's going to be done, but there'll be white turnbacks probably. I did think of putting some white patches on this backpack and decided to leave it as it is. Obviously I'll put the straps on and everything yet. Did a bit of texturing on the blanket roll or greatcoat, blanket greatcoat. It's got a bit of texturing in there. But a lovely face on this one. The very first one I did, you had 4 options of heads. This one comes with only 1. But again, if you really wanted to individualise your figures, you could hack that head off and put one of the spare ones on. Trousers came up nice. Again, you can't really see it with a different light, but yeah. Anyway, it's more supposed to be on this guy than this, but yeah, and obviously I've only put a base coat on the musket because I just happen to have some spare. When it comes to doing the rifles or muskets, I use whatever ready brown I happen to have, so I'd use some on the backpack. And although I don't like using the same colours on both things, because it just looks like you've just used the same paint on them, if that makes sense. But because I changed the colours over so much on these, it's only for a base. So thank you very much. Let's take him away for now. He'll get his own video in a few days' time. So yeah, some figures, photos at the end. How good they'll be, I'm sceptical. So I've got once the Swiss Voltigeur is done in a few days' time. I mean, I did all that jacket and the apart from I've done the base coat on the trousers of the Swiss guy the night before, when I got the last few minutes of the night, just to get ahead the next day. But again, if you use a hairdryer, I mean, obviously it's not a problem. But I'm just saying I got all that done last night. So yep, there he goes. Anyway, I'm waffling for no reason. Nothing changes, does it? So I might those books that are coming. It's not so much the books. I might do a quick little video again on those, just to let people know when they come through. I might not. It depends. But anyway, thank you very much for stopping by and taking a look. I will be doing the Lance hopefully. Tonight I'm probably putting my Jeep together, or tomorrow, it depends. Majority of the Jeep anyway, it's all painted apart from the tyres, which is white. Gav, you've got to paint the tyres. Yeah, so I've got to do the tyres at some point this afternoon or tonight, but then you will get an update on the 1 in 35 scale Jeep, because we are finally getting some progress on that. I would like to get some progress on the Dragonfly 1 in 72 jet aircraft for Vietnam. I'd like to get into that on the weekend, because I would like at some stage to I don't know what to do. I've got the ferret is supposed, the 1 in 35 scale ferret is supposed to be coming from Airfix. It was supposed to be here in, was it July? I've got a nasty feeling it won't be here till end of September or early October. So I did want to jump on and start that, but I really would like to do my Starfighter. So I think what I'll probably do is once the little 1 in 72 Dragonfly's out of the way, I might just crack on with the Starfighter, and I'm not going to put that aside. If the ferret comes, maybe apart from an unboxing, the ferret will just have to wait. I've waited this long for it, so another few months ain't going to really hurt if I can't get onto it, because I really would like to build the Starfighter that the Beetle sent me. So anyway, look after yourselves. Thank you very much for stopping by and taking a look, and we'll catch each other very soon on another video.